So once your solution is fixed, we now need to transfer 20 mils of this solution into one of these little flasks that you have. If you're not confident about getting accuracy, you can also help get an aid with the pasta pipette here. The important part here is to have a nice flat surface again. If you've got one of these levels that are in some of the kits, you can use that to make sure you've got a level surface. Carefully pour in the solution as close to the 20 as possible. When you're getting close, you can stop. At this point, you need to sort of get down and eyeball. So your meniscus is basically the little quarter moon shape that sits on top. So you want the bottom of the little dip of the liquid to be sitting right on your 20 mil mark. So to finalise that, you can use this and just drop by drop, just add it slowly until you have that meniscus just sitting right on top. And you want the bottom of the meniscus or the liquid level to be sitting just on that 20 mil mark, or as close possible as you can get. And that's when sometimes it can help if you put in about somewhere between 15 and 20 mils straight from the bottle and use your pasta pipette to then slowly add it bit by bit to get to your 20 mils, and that can be more accurate. Keep this little bottle handy by the side there, because that's also good for comparing your colour when you need to. At this point, pop your little lid on with a hole in it. Now you're going to grab your syringe and your sodium thiosulfate. Again, just give a bit of a shake. Open that up. Now, pop your syringe in there and just give it a little bit of a push so it's airtight, because at this next point you're going to invert and tip your bottle upside down. So you want to make sure that that syringe is in there nice and tight. It's also important we don't want to get any air bubbles in here when we're sucking the fluid out. So what we do at this point is you can pull it down and you will see that you will get air in there, and then very gently just push it back up. You'll see the air bubbles going up, and you can do that a few times just to make sure you have no air in your syringe tip. When you're confident of that, you pull it down slowly until the little rim on your syringe is sitting right down on the last little zero mark there. So when you're drawing up your sodium thiosulfate into your syringe, you need to make sure that the little rim of green, which is basically the thickest part which is up against the inside of the syringe, is literally on that bottom line, and that's your 0. And that gives you a full 1 mil syringe. Okay, remove it from the bottle. And at this point we're going to pop the syringe carefully into the top of your vial. Again, put it in a bit tight so it's nothing spills out. And at this point we're starting what we call a titration. So the idea is we're going to be pushing the sodium thiosulfate down into the bottle while we're mixing, and we want it to go what they call a yellow straw colour. Now, to help you with that, you should find one of these cards in your kit, and you can use that as a bit of an indication. You can put that up against the white there to see how yellow it is, and ideally what we want is to see a colour change where it's just going to go a lighter colour. And the trick here is to be shaking the bottle while adding your solution. So this can sometimes take a little bit of practice, and ideally, as I said here with your card, this is your starting yellow, which is quite bright, and then ideally we want to reach what we call a straw yellow. We need to get a paler yellow. Now, it doesn't need to be an accurate, don't get too worried if it's not going to be perfectly the same. This is a titration, which means that if, for example, you put a little bit too much in at this point and it goes paler than your card here, it just means that the next step following, you're going to be then adding a little bit less. So it's the final volume in your syringe that matters. So just try and get as close to that as possible. So at this point here, And again, depending on your left or right-handed, but I like to push down with the syringe with my left hand while I'm shaking with the right. But again, it's up to the individual what's more comfortable for them. Shaking is important though. So I'm going to basically start adding the solution drop by drop. To start with, you can add a few drops at a time. It will take a while depending on how much oxygen is in there. Another couple of drops, again, give it a good swirl. There's not a big colour change at this stage. Another swirl. And you can already see here it is starting to become a little bit paler, and you can also work that out if you look at your original bottle. If you look at your original bottle there, you can see that the yellow has gone pale. In fact, that's pretty good. I would probably call it quits at that point there. Okay. So then we take the syringe out very carefully, being careful not to disturb the plunger because we don't want any liquid to come out at this stage. So very carefully place it down on a bit of paper towel or something. And now we take the lid off, and at this point we're going to add our number 4. This is our starch solution, and again, important to give this one a bit of a shake. And I think I'll actually put the paper towel underneath here. And again, it's 8 drops. It's a little bit clogged. That's the importance of being able to shake this bottle because it's a starch solution. Sometimes you can get a little bit of the starch that actually clogs the nozzle. I think that was 4 drops, so I'm just still got to add another 4 and get it. There we go. 6. Okay, so we've got our 8 drops of starch in there. Put the lid back on and give it a really good swirl. As you can see, it's gone very dark and inky. And the next point is we want another colour change, so we want that dark purpley colour to go clear. So we carefully pick up our syringe again, pop it back in nice and tight, and again we're going to slowly add drop by drop while swirling with the other hand until we get a colour change where it's going to go completely clear. Starting to lighten up a little bit. As the pipette goes down and there's less and less solution in the pipette, the speed of the resistance gets less, so your syringe can actually start going very fast. So just be a little bit careful. You can overshoot a little bit towards the end, so try not to be too trigger happy. Okay, it's getting paler and paler. And again, at this point, you could use your white card here. You can have a look and go, well, you know, there's still a bit of blue in there. We've got a bit of precipitate there as well. So I think we need to keep going just a little bit more. Maybe another drop. Pop that down carefully. We can have a look there and go, well, probably close. What do you think, Amy? You've got better eyesight than I have.
Looks good to me.
Looks good to you.
You could take a reading now and then add one and then see what you think.
So basically, if we now carefully hold up our syringe, we can see the 0 value up there. So we're reading from top to bottom. And again, if we look at that wide part of the green syringe, it's sitting literally smack bang on 7. So our reading there would be 7 mgs per mil. We'll just put another extra drop in here, just to see. Take that out again.
Did it make a difference?
Did it make a difference?
I don't think so.
I don't think so, not really, no. I think we could still probably call that a 7.
Yeah.
Yep. And at this point, with whatever you've got left in here, because you've been putting it into various chemicals and bottles and things. Do not put the remainder back into your bottle. That needs to be discarded, what's ever left, and keep that bottle clean. So leftovers never go back into it. At the end, you'll probably have some residual solution left in your syringe. Never put it back into the bottle. It will be thrown away into your liquid waste, so just pop it out. And also sometimes there might be a little bit of residual in there. If you just kind of up and down with your syringe a little bit just to get any residual solution out. And the important thing with the tip, because it's been inside here, just pop some distilled water in a beaker and pop it in there and just give it a bit of a rinse so that there's no chemicals still left on the tip that can then contaminate other vials when you're using them again. So after you've expelled all the chemical out into your liquid waste, to give the syringe a bit of a rinse inside with distilled water, you just pop it in your beaker here, suck it up, and then just expel the solution just a few times just to give it a bit of a rinse out, say 3 times with distilled water, and again at the end just a little bit of an up and down to get the last little dregs of solution out. And then it's also clean inside. Finished and you've recorded all your results, the leftover liquid needs to be tipped out into your liquid waste bottle. And at this point, if you're doing this at home, you could then rinse them out in your sink, but then the important part is afterwards to also use your distilled water bottle and give these bottles a very good rinse out several times. Make sure all traces of any of the chemicals are gone so they don't contaminate your next experiment. And then if you've got some clean fresh paper towel, you then can just tip them upside down and leave them to drain. Make sure you also do the lids as well, because you always have residual liquid and chemicals in your lids, so they also need to be cleaned out. And they're ready to use next time.